Hey there, good evening, and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph, and I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock music. So we're here to do our series, Rock Greats Who Thrilled Us but Have Since Passed On. This is the year 2006. This is the episode number 43. Number 43 and episode number 44 are going to be of the same year, 2006. I chose 4 artists, and I'm going to split it into 2 episodes, A and B. The reason I did this is because I just liked all 4 of them, and I wanted to do them. Okay, so we're going to start tonight with Wilson Pickett and Syd Barrett, and we'll follow on Saturday with Bruce Gary, and Mariska Veras. Okay, so, and we'll do the honorable mentions on the Saturday too, rather than try to split them up here. Okay, so Wilson Pickett, I'm just going to get my glasses here so I can see his vitals. Wilson Pickett was born on March 19th, 1941 in Prattsville, Alabama. He died January the 19th, 2006 in Reston, West Virginia, or Reston, Virginia. I don't know why I wanted to say West Virginia. He was a soul and a southern soul music. That was the music he performed, and he was a vocalist. And he was active from 1955 to 2006. So basically, his mother was a tough, hard woman. And so he left and to live with his dad when he was around 14 or so. Pickett's forceful, passionate style he got from his church and from living in Detroit, and he had an unswavering kind of influenced by Little Richard. After singing gospel for about 4 years, he joined the Falcons in 1959. They were a vocal group. The Falcons had notable members such as Eddie Floyd and Sir Mark Rice. He had a minor hit with them, and then this propelled him into a solo career, which he pursued. His first big hit came with It's Too Late, and then in the midnight hour, which he did, which did very well as well. And his cover of the song Stagger Lee. Okay, Pickett had 4 children, but he had drug and alcohol abuse issues, cocaine being the main thing. This ran him in with the law too many times, and some domestic violence with his love interests of the time. He died of a heart attack at the age of 64, I believe it was, just a few months shy of his 65th birthday. So what I know about Wilson Pickett is that he had a really good voice. It was one of those kind of husky, heavy voices that, just sang the blues perfectly, right? Or in this case, gospel. He was a great singer with lots of big hits, but he was out of control as well. But we're not really here to talk about the out of control part. We're here to talk about his music. And I think he was one of the best vocalists of his period that he was big at. Many people, I think, have been influenced by him. I discovered him through, believe it or not, the rock band Kiss, because their drummer, Peter Criss, when he first joined the band, they talked about how they liked the fact that he sounded like Wilson Pickett. So I immediately started listening for Wilson Pickett to see what this guy sounded like, and there are some similarities here, definitely. So anyways, to me, Wilson Pickett just is one of those really, really good rocky kind of voices. So the second person we're going to do tonight, a little bit stranger individual, although Wilson Pickett had his run-ins with the law and did some bizarre stuff himself. The next guy, who I didn't flip properly, was Syd Barrett. He of the Pink Floyd fame. So he was born January the 6th, 1946 in Cambridge, England. Died July the 7th, 2006 at the age of 60 in Cambridge, England as well. His music was psychedelic, pop, psychedelia, and experimental rock, or acid rock too. He was a vocalist and he played guitar as well. He was active from 1963 to 1972, so most of the time musicians play right up till their death, but in this case he thought of himself more as an artist, and so he became somewhat of a recluse. Anyways, he co-founded Pink Floyd in 1965. There was a couple stories about his name. The first one, Syd the Beat Barrett, he got as a result of an idol. And the other one was a scout troop. He was part of a scout group, which he was very active with, and they started calling him Syd, and it kind of stuck with him. So one of those two, or maybe some other one I'm not sure about. Anyways, he co-founded Pink Floyd, as I said. He was taught in school at one point by Roger Waters' mother. He became friends with Roger Waters. They were childhood friends. They formed a band with Jeff Motto called the Jeff Mott and the Mothers. And the Mottos, sorry, not the Mothers. In 1962, Jeff Mott joined the Boston Crabs, and the Motts broke up. He was then a fan of at that point in time, he had developed an interest in the Beatles, and then a little bit later, the Stones. So he was right into both bands. He started playing acoustic gigs with his friend David Gilmour from school. He played bass in the mid-1963 with these Without Them, and then played bass and guitar with the Hollerin'. So he went to art school to study. He went to college to study art. Boy, I'm about tongue-tied there. The band that eventually would develop into the band Pink Floyd formed in 1964. They had names such as the Abadabs, then the Screaming Abadabs, the Sigma Six, and the Megadeths. And then eventually this evolved into the T-Set. At this point, Syd joined the band when they were the T-Set. And then during a concert that they were doing, another band had the same name, the T-Set. So it was confusing. So they changed their name to the Pink Floyd Blues Band, and then eventually just became Pink Floyd. And they formed as Pink Floyd in 1965. They released their album. They released their album "Piper at the Gates of Dawn." This put them on the map as far as they were known, and they tried to get into a bit of a bidding war with a couple of different record labels to get more control. After that period, they ended up signing with EMI, and they released "Saucer Full of Secrets." And then what was happening is that Syd would do strange things on stage. He start wandering around and forgetting he was playing and all this kind of stuff. And so they hired a session musician to come in and play for a bit. And then eventually what they did is they asked David Gilmour to join the band, so that when Syd would wander off on stage and stop doing what he was supposed to, David Gilmour would take over the vocals and guitar bit. And eventually what happens is that they were getting tired of this going on, so they just stopped picking him up on the way to the concert. They just would pass by and not pick him up, and he probably wouldn't even notice. So after a while it became clear that he was no longer a member of the band, so they let him go. And he did do some solo albums. Some members of Pink Floyd helped him with that. Did that for about a few years till 1972, and then abruptly he quit the music scene altogether and went into become a bit of a recluse. Became a bit of a recluse and stayed that way pretty much till his death. Spent most of his time on his art and on his gardening, which he liked quite a bit. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Pink Floyd when they were inducted. And, they stayed friends with him. They just realized that he was not capable of doing what they needed him to do, and so David Gilmour replaced him. Okay, so obviously Pink Floyd is hugely influential in music as far as I'm concerned. I like them quite a bit. They're one of my 20 favorite bands, that's for certain. I have Piper at the Gates of Dawn, and I've listened to it a few times. A very different Pink Floyd from what I've grown used to. I don't know about A Saucer Full of Secrets. I haven't listened to that yet. However, it's like a night and day. Like, they're two very different bands. Once he was out of there, the band became more like what we've come to know as classic Pink Floyd. But this guy got it launched and got it started. Sorry. Now, at one point, he was the leader de facto of the band because he sang and he played guitar and he wrote most of the music. But his mental illness, and they feel that he might have had schizophrenia, combining with the drugs that he was doing, was just made him impossible to work with. It's unfortunate because, some people think he was a bit of a genius. However, you can't really fault Pink Floyd for ridding themselves of him. They actually had, when Gilmour joined, they became much more successful and have created some of the most memorable albums in rock history. Dark Side of the Moon has set records for its time on the Billboard Top 200. So there you go. Sid Vicious. Yeah, sorry, different Sid, different group. Syd Barrett, I think, was a very good musician and had a lot of talent, but this is what happens when drugs get a hold of you, and if you've got mental illness, it's a really bad combination. So there you have it. So tomorrow's part B, or not tomorrow's part B, but Saturday's part B of this 2006 will be episode 44, featuring Bruce Gary, drummer of the Knack, and Mariska Saras, vocalist for Shocking Blue. So I'm looking forward to doing those two. Those two were my first two picked, but I don't see how I could pass on Wilson Pickett and Syd Barrett, both very influential musicians. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think of these two individuals, and make comments about whatever you want to make comments about their bands or what's coming up on Saturday. It's all good for me. So I hope you enjoyed it, like I said, and this from Prog Monster. You have a good night. Goodbye.